As fighting rages on in the Middle East, in Gaza and Lebanon, here at the border of Iran and Azerbaijan, that region meets South Caucasus. Any escalation of conflict between Israel on one side and Hezbollah and Hamas on the other that would draw Iran into the war threatens to outpour beyond the region's scope. Here as well. In previous years, Iranian officials have on several occasions accused Azerbaijan of hosting Israeli military sites, which Baku denied, claiming its policy is not to interfere in other countries' affairs. After the most recent missile barrage exchange between Tel Aviv and Tehran in October, there were concerns of an all-out war breaking out. Currently, the rhetoric is harsh on both sides. We spoke to Iranian politics expert Turaj Shiralilu on the situation in the Middle East and Israeli-Iranian hostilities. Here's what he had to say.
The situation in not only in Middle East but globally is very conflicting. But as to your question about what is going on now in the Middle East between Iran and Israel, it appears that the clock is ticking by and by. What has been all of this is happening against the backdrop of U.S. elections. Now the dust of U.S. elections has settled. It is clear who will be in office in 2 months, and many people are wondering what will Trump 2 look like. At the same time, this outgoing U.S. administration has been mostly focusing, it appears, has been mostly focusing on the Ukraine-Russian war. And as it has been escalated in recent days, with the use of new weaponry that both sides, the warring sides, had never used before, introduction of, or the authorization to use new US-made long-range missiles, also UK-made Storm Shadow missiles, and on the other side, Russians' use of ballistic missiles has got the attention of the US administration from the Middle East. Now, at the same time, what is happening in Middle East is that we are witnessing a lack of global leadership by the United Nations. Not only it has lost its edge, we also see that UN troops, peacekeepers, have been targeted in Lebanon. And for the last months, we have also noticed that UN agency workers has been targeted in Gaza. So all of this has made the situation like a hot temperature in the Middle East. And as to Iran-Israel conflict, we also see that both sides have drummed up their rhetoric against the other side. And of course, Iran-Israel conflict is a long-standing one. Iran has been supporting Palestinian groups, Hezbollah, and also Israel has been supporting monarchists and royalists which are against Iranian government, and both sides are in a state of wrist wrestling. And but whether all of this will lead to a escalation or a de-escalation of the situation, I think the situation is very murky. All of this rhetoric cannot necessarily mean that they are ready to go into a new round of military or targeting each other, because I see that both sides have restraints as well. So this idea of escalation and then de-escalation has cons and pros. Last week, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia criticized Israel's violation of Iranian territory. And for many analysts who are following and viewing these developments, it is clear that when Saudi Arabia takes the lead, many of the Arab world countries will follow. This was unprecedented, I think, and means a new development in this region. But to whether all of this again will be a de-escalation or escalation, I still believe that it is a murky situation. It is not clear-cut whether both sides will go to a new round of confrontation, but not only Iranian military, but also Iranian foreign ministry have promised retaliation. And on the other side, we see that Israeli officials are also threatening with new round of retaliations or attacks. But I think this hot rhetoric on both sides does not necessarily mean an escalation, but if the situation will continue as we are witnessing these days, I think a de-escalation, or at least both sides resuming their, or still staying on such hot rhetoric without going into any action, is possible. Thank you.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, now wanted for war crimes and crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court, said that the Israeli army hit part of Iran's nuclear program last month. Israel accuses Iran of secretly trying to develop nuclear weapons, though Tehran denies such claims. On Israel's claims against Iran and what Tel Aviv is prepared to do, we spoke to Israeli journalist and publicist Mikhail Finkel.
We heard just before the U.S. elections that the Rahbar, or the chief Ayatollah of Iran, Ali Khamenei, has given third real promise to punish the Zionist enemy. So we're all waiting for that. Over the sudden, Iranians became mute. Over the sudden, this faithful promise. And whenever they make the promises, they put their fingers up above to the heavens. Faithful promise. So what happens to it over the sudden? As Republicans came to power, the promise is not so faithful anymore. But even if they will not attack us, we will attack them, because there is no chance absolutely that they will develop atomic weapons. They promised us that the first nuclear bomb will be dropped in Israel. This will never, ever happen again. President Trump has promised to suffocate Iranian regime economically. That will be done. They will not sell their oil as they did under Democrats. They will not get those crazy cash revenues that they received under Democrats. And what we think is supposed to be done, what must be done, is the destruction of their atomic ambitions, nuclear ambitions, the bankruptcy of the regime, and finally the change of the regime. Shahzadeh Reza Pahlavi is in LA, and he must return to power. And he must become a constitutional monarch of the country, and Iran must become a democracy, a free country, a proud member of the free world. And this is inevitable. We will not expect escalation. We will expect a swift, quick, amazing Israeli strike on the nuclear program of Iran. And Iran will not be able to do anything. They will not be able to prevent it. They will not be able to defend themselves because their defense systems are entirely destroyed by previous Israeli attack. And that's what we're going to see. So I think that everybody is supposed to prepare popcorn and cola if they drink it and enjoy the show. It's coming. It's inevitable.
Just over the river lies Iran, where estimated 30 million ethnic Azerbaijanis live. In the case of escalation of the Middle East conflict, this could prove to be an important factor, but also a humanitarian challenge, with thousands of possible refugees crossing the border, fleeing to safety. Iran said yesterday it will activate new and advanced centrifuges in response to a resolution adopted by the International Atomic Energy Agency board, censoring it for lack of cooperation. The motion was put forward by France, Germany, Britain, and the United States at the 35-nation board of the United Nations nuclear watchdog. The world is keeping its eyes peeled to the Middle Eastern conflict, especially the regions surrounding it. For AnewZ from the Iranian-Azerbaijani border, Andy Mioch.